All right. I think everything's working. I was just getting actually back from some prior engagements I had tonight, or actually all day, and looking over the weather. Some of the severe weather was dying down, kind of waiting for some severe weather to pick back up in the high plains, and all of a sudden a bunch of tornado warnings went off in west central Arkansas, and there are now 3 tornado warnings. So we'll get to those in just a minute. We just had in the last 20 or 30 minutes a confirmed tornado that we were able to just radar confirm visually here in Sebastian County around Greenwood, Arkansas. This is on the south side of the Fort Smith area. I'm going to just play it back just so you guys can see here. We had this storm south of Fort Smith just at about 7:12 in the central time zone. So about an hour ago. And you can see here, really nothing showing on rotation. If I play this forward, within 7:22, started to show rotation. It went from basically nothing, likely some boundary interactions along here, but it went from nothing to a tornado-producing supercell within about 5 minutes. Yeah, 7:15, not really any rotation. A little bit of rotation at 7:18. Not enough for a tornado warning, but then by 7:22, we had a defined hook signature, a area of rotation, and if I pull this out of reflectivity into correlation coefficient, watch this area, the next scan, you'll see the debris signature there around Witcherville, basically paralleling US 71. That's a pretty strong rotation just a few minutes ago. That looks like it lifted up. You can see there near Witcherville, between Witcherville and Big Rock. Still seeing some CC drop in there. No CC drop on this scan, but it's likely still on the ground, just not picking up anything to the radar beam. The very next scan, you can see that CC drop again, so it likely was still in progress in there. But that's a tight area of circulation. You can see there on the radar signature. Only just a couple miles from the radar site. So that's only about 400 feet in altitude. So very close to the radar site there out of the Fort Smith area. That continued on the next scan at 7:42. And continued on the next scan, crossing Arkansas Highway 10. You can see the CC signature in there, just west of Greenwood. And then it dissipated, and you can see the CC signature broadens out. Debris lofted is still in that storm. And they issued, looks like, a tornado warning there at about 7:50. So unfortunately, this tornado looks like it was on the ground for about 25 minutes before it had a tornado warning.
Has been issued.
That's unfortunate. Also, so close to the radar site too. That one's a tough one to miss. If I'm being critical for this National Weather Service office. This is not a radar hole. This is like literally up about 400 to 500 feet, and you got a CC signature for tornadic debris there. So that's not a good miss, frankly, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm a little tired, and it's been a long day. We now have 4 tornado warnings in Arkansas. So we went from, as soon as I got home, there was actually no tornado warnings. I was just kind of taking a broad view of things. And I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. Severe weather is winding down on the East Coast. Severe weather is dying down in the Great Lakes. And it really hasn't started yet in the high plains. But then all of a sudden, a bunch of warnings went off there. And you can see all at once, they have labeled about 4 different storms. There's various circulations on these. The storm that was originally tornado warned there, you can see that, again, that very tight signature dissipates. It tries to wrap up again over the Greenwood area, but that is lifted more as a shear line. The next storm down, though, has started rotating, and that's why it now has a tornado warning in western Arkansas. So that one is not rotating as tightly right now, but you can see, as I just showed you, how quickly things can wrap up within 3 to 5 minutes. These can go from really not looking that impressive on radar to all of a sudden tornado in progress. So especially since we're so close to the radar site, we'll keep an eye on that one. This is a tornado warning here for, let's get these counties in here. Come on, where's the county clicks? All right, I'll go a different way. Oh, yeah, and we do have more tornado warnings down here too. Tornado warning in the, central Polk County, western Arkansas until 9 p.m. That is moving to the northeast near McCauley at 9 miles an hour. And let's see, we should also have cameras. Good news is Arkansas is full of cameras. This is in Polk County. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Just want to check a few things here. Yeah, that's near Mena, Arkansas. Up in the mountains. Doesn't look quite as defined as it was just a few minutes ago. That one you can see spun up pretty quickly. Got tornado warned. The other one is also here in Scott and Polk counties near Mena, moving northeast at 20. So there's two, I guess, supercells moving to the northeast in near the Mena area. That one looks like it's actually north of Mena. Yeah, look how quickly that popped up too. Once again, not really any rotation there on the 739 radar. Getting a little bit 746. Within about 10 minutes, that's not impressive rotation for a tornado warning. That's starting to get a little more impressive. A little bit more, and then they've issued it within about 10 minutes. That's a good warning. Hey guys, how's it going tonight? Yeah, you guys got hit hard earlier. I saw a few tornado warnings earlier today in Ohio. I believe it was southern Ohio, southeast Ohio had a couple tornado warnings. I have not seen any confirmed tornado warnings. Central City, did it wrap up again? Central City, Arkansas. Let's see. Why am I not seeing it? So yeah, just getting back into the studio. I've been out all day, so I have not done any analysis on this. Why we're seeing a localized area of a bunch of tornadic signatures. Central City. Okay. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that's the storm. It produced at least one tornado here near Greenwood, south of Greenwood, basically paralleling 71. It tried to retighten over Greenwood. That rotation has broadened but lifted towards Central City. So yeah, it's still kind of trying to rotate in there near Central City, but broadly right now. Yeah, it even has a little bit of a hook feature. Not technically in the warning polygon, but if you're anywhere in the Fort Smith area, I would just, especially it looks like south and east sides of Fort Smith, I would take your tornado safety precautions out towards Barling and Central City. That same area along, looks like Arkansas 22 and Arkansas 549, east and southeast sides of Fort Smith. That other rotation did weaken before as it moved north. Technically, we don't have a great look at that original area of rotation over the radar site. So that could also potentially still have rotation with it. It's just in the cone of silence right now. I don't believe there is either. Yeah, I believe this area has a marginal risk. They may have added a tornado, 2% tornado risk. Looks like at some point here. Again, I've been out all day, so I have not followed the weather that much today. But yeah, it looks like they have added a 2% tornado risk. They may have just added this in the 8 o'clock update. I would guess they probably just added this. New tornado warning. Or it looks like an extended tornado warning. Yeah, so we have other risks today. We'll get to those if we can in a few minutes. Most of those are severe thunderstorm warnings at the moment. Most of them are weakening across Long Island and pushing off the Jersey Shore. There's one severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible, so we will look at that in a few minutes in New Hampshire. And then we also have some tornadic supercells in southern Canada. A new warning there north of Williston, considerable threat, hail and wind. But right now, I'm going to try and focus in on some of these areas in Arkansas since we're seeing some interesting dynamics here. Yeah, what is, I'm curious to see what this look like on shear rate. You know what? Going back actually further on the radar, this is interesting. Looks like there was another area of rotation that was unwarned near Hartford. This is about 645. And see there, it tightened up very quickly over the Hartford, Arkansas area. Nothing really showing there. And then the next scan on shear rate, the rotation detector, you can see that there did kind of spin up a little bit briefly before it wanes. There's a bit of a boundary that must be interacting in there. And that same storm basically started to rotate again. And that is when, yeah, okay, shear rate basically maxed out near Witcherville. So that's when it started producing that tornadic signature. You can see the red color, that's close to max shear rate. Interesting. And then this also picks up on the Greenwood area of rotation that has weakened as it's worked its way across Central City, but still kind of broadly in there. So we will keep our eye on that one. Very, very quick spin up tornadoes, but those can be damaging. Seeing that rotation still in there just north of Dayton in Arkansas, approaching Burnville and Milltown. These are also lifting a little bit erratically. They're basically lifting to the north. Oh, wow. This is going to be a little bit of a whack-a-mole. That's actually a new area of rotation. The warning for this area here, this is central Sebastian County, was actually originally warned down here for the areas south of Dayton near Crossroads. There is the new area of spin that is working to the north towards Burnville. Yeah, I think there might be. We're just not going to see it right now. But there is a. This would be the original area of circulation if it's in here. So a little bit of a question mark right there. But here's winds broadly going away and towards the radar. So still be cautious. I would be in a tornado warning if I was. I'd be in my tornado safe space if I was in that central city area because we are seeing broad rotation on a cell that has produced at least one damaging tornado. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on this one. Burnville, Greenwood. You guys want to stay in your safe place there. Central Sebastian County, Milltown. This is all essentially if you're in Sebastian County east of 71, you're going to want to stay in your safe place there. Interesting cell. Those are also kind of tucked up in the rain. So you may not see these coming. It's starting to get dark. This is really close to the radar site there. So if we see anything, we'll kind of keep our eye on it. But yeah, this cell wrapped up in the rain, but there is rotation in there. See that kind of a classic supercell signature. It's an embedded supercell in this cluster of storms. East sides of Fort Smith, Harroldton, Catcher, Oak Grove, up towards areas basically along I-40 and areas in Van Buren, Arkansas. I would also take my safe place there. And I would guess they're probably going to have to, if this holds, reorient a warning somewhat like that. If you know anyone in west central Arkansas, let them know there's some interesting weather going on. Let's see, correlation coefficient, see if we find anything in this cell. Nothing yet. That's another cell that's definitely wrapped up a little bit tighter in the last couple minutes. Oh yeah, briefly there had a little bit of max shear rate. So yeah, rotation is picking up in that cell as well. Good news is for now that southernmost cell has actually reduced rotation. Yeah, that one has weakened a little bit. That's in central Polk County, south of Mena, Arkansas. Again, continue to stay in your safe place there, south of Mena, Arkansas, 375. And then north of Mena along 71. Would not want to make that drive right now towards Y City. It's going to be rain wrapped. It's going to be up in the mountains. That's going to be a hard one to see if you're up in that area. Let's new scan there. Let's see if we have any correlation coefficient drops. Don't see any right in that immediate area. Actually, we're so close to the radar site. This is actually kind of interesting. I haven't really seen that much on correlation coefficient. If you look here on the velocity scan, you can see the terrain, and correlation coefficient is actually picking up a little bit on the terrain because the terrain rises very quickly here south of Fort Smith. So we can actually see a little bit of interference from terrain on this Fort Smith radar. Yeah, it's interesting. Still rotation in here just near Milltown and Burnville, Arkansas. And yeah, still seeing broad rotation east sides of Fort Smith near Harroldton. That may be, at least briefly here, our most dangerous cell other than this one up here in the mountains near Shiloh, Nella, and Y City. Continue to take tornado safety precautions there. That's Polk County. Polk and Scott counties, I believe that was. Yeah. Southwestern Scott and North Central Polk counties. This has been a little bit of a cluster of storms. And not much there. Going back a few hours here. It's worked from eastern Oklahoma into western Arkansas. And you can see as it's worked into Arkansas the last hour or so, that kind of line and cluster of storms has actually broken off into a couple different cells. It looks like we may have a strengthening low-level jet that has kicked up right when these cells became a little more discrete. Very interesting. Okay, that one cell is coming out of the radar site. It doesn't look like it's there anymore. Yeah, not showing rotation from the Tulsa radar either. We are still seeing rotation, though, on that eastern cell that's technically unwarned now, near Harroldton, approaching the areas around Van Buren. It's basically right along the river right now, lifting to the north. So it's going to parallel the river on the east sides of Fort Smith, and then approaching areas around Van Buren, Oak Grove, Catcher. Okay, yeah, we'll keep this camera looking southbound right along the river. So if we do get a tornado, it's essentially approaching this camera. Not seeing a CC drop on that storm at the moment, but still a pretty nasty cell. This area is still showing some rotation in here south of Greenwood. That's weakened a little bit just in the last couple minutes. And then getting a new or updated tornado warning. Yeah, just updated. They trimmed a couple areas off there in Scott County and Polk counties. Still seeing broad rotation in that cell. look at that spin in there. You can see it very clearly just on the velocity. Wow. Yeah, it's broadened slightly just in the last couple minutes. That's still a dangerous storm. Zooming in, some small communities in here: Tin Top, Ritz, Shiloh, Nella, Y City, Bowles, Needmore, Pines, and then if you're south and west of Waldron, Arkansas, that one you're going to want to be in your safe spot. Yeah, so keep an eye on that one in northern Scott County, up towards the Waldron area. You also see there's flash flood warnings in these areas with some rounds of rain. Not liking this. They've allowed, it looks like, the 2 tornado warnings around the Greenwood area and Fort Smith to expire. But if I was them, I would probably get ready to introduce a new tornado warning for this area of rotation that's held on fairly strong. It's also another area of rotation that's fairly close to the radar site, so we're getting a low-level look at this around Harrelton. It's only about 400 feet in altitude. Yeah, about 300 to 400 feet. So very close to the radar site. I believe so. I think if I was in the warning office, I would probably have a tornado warning on this, just because if we've seen how fast these spin up today and we're so close to the radar site. Yeah, classic little hook feature there. It's not the tightest yet, but it has picked up in intensity the last couple scans. Just near Harrelton and along the river there. Yeah, that's only... That hook is only about 6 miles north of the radar site. Everything co-locates... Ooh, let's see, hold on. No, I think it's just radar interference. We'll have to check on the next scan. There is a slight CC lowering in there, but too early to call. Now, actually, newest radar scan. That could be the start. We're going to have to wait another scan. But that very well could be the start of a correlation coefficient drop. Too early to call yet, but very close. We'll see what it looks like on the next scan. Go side by side. There it goes.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
They have issued a new tornado warning. Crawford and Sebastian counties in Arkansas. Okay, just basically waiting on a new scan to see what this hook feature looks like, and if that is a correlation coefficient drop. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for that new scan, radar indicated tornado warning moving northwest at 10 miles an hour. Southwestern Crawford, north central Sebastian, and that is west central Arkansas. Fort Smith, especially the east sides of Fort Smith, Barling, Furry, Van Buren, and Sibley are in that warning. That includes the Van Buren Historic District, basically all of downtown Van Buren. And yeah, it's Fort Smith. If you're along the river in Fort Smith, along 540, the Oak Park neighborhood of Fort Smith, that's going to be that area. But downtown Fort Smith, you guys are technically out of the warning polygon. New radar scan, you can see the sweep here. Let's see if that is a CC drop. Looks like it might be. On the newest scan, here is our hook. And there is the CC drop. Believe that is a confirmed tornado. Yeah, that's a tornado in progress. That CC drop moved, and that is very tight rotation. Tornado in progress there. Yeah, forget it. I love Aguacero weather. I forget I don't have to actually draw it twice. That is very cool. Okay. Yeah, my drawing tool copies, which is really nice for spotting things like this that you can see on both screens. Tornado in progress. This is along Arkansas 59 and also Arkansas 549. It is going to be about, is that about 5 miles south of Van Buren? That is the draw tool. Let's get the mileage. Yeah, 5.5 miles south of Van Buren. You need to take your tornado safety precautions in the Van Buren, Arkansas area. Tornado in progress. And we see debris being picked up on radar. Good news is this doesn't really indicate if it's a strong tornado or not. Sometimes when we are far from the radar sites, there's actually mathematical calculations that can be done to show how strong generally a tornado is. Lofting debris, sometimes we see debris lofted 7,000 feet, 8,000 feet, and it's a pretty strong circulation to pick it up that tall. Here, we're only looking at like 400 feet, so we can't really get a good estimate of strength out of this because it's so low. But yeah, that is a tornado in progress there, just south of Van Buren. Should go confirmed. We'll see what it looks like here on the next radar scan that we're actually getting right now. Yeah, it looks like it's still in here. A little bit lower CC or higher CC drop, more correlation. So that's actually less of a debris signature, but still seeing one in there. It's just south of Wright Town and Catcher, approaching 59, and that would be 4th Street and exit 3 there. That's at this interchange that's right above us. And you can see what a mess that is. It's rain wrapped. Way too many cars on the highway there. That's Highway 540. Not a good situation there. Yeah, this is going to cross 540 near the 40 interchange on the south and east sides of Van Buren if it keeps on its current signature. Wright Town, Oak Grove, Van Buren, and Sibley. Everyone there on the east side of Fort Smith needs to be in your tornado safe space. Lowest level into your room, away from the doors and windows. Put walls between you and the outside as possible. Yep, it's still on the ground just based on the CC. There it is right there. Zooming in a little bit closer. Can I get some street names on there? Looks like it's mostly an industrial. Let's see, where are we? It's kind of a area there with, there is a neighborhood up that way. It's gonna be close. It's getting into a slightly more populated area once it gets just to the north of Wright Town. Right now, it's basically kind of along the flats along the river. But yeah, it's about to get into a slightly more populated area. If you're in the Wright Town, Arkansas area, you need to be in your tornado safe space. Yeah, it's crossing a couple roads, but those must be private roads because they don't believe they have a name on them. Okay. But yes, tornado warning continues and should be a confirmed tornado. Yeah, still in progress there near Wright Town. It is a fairly small, compact tornado, but that does not mean it's a weak one either. The size of a tornado does not necessarily correlate to strength. Checking a couple of these other cells briefly here. Let's swing back to the single radar. Still seeing broad rotation in there south of Mena, Arkansas. We'll keep an eye on you guys. Rotation has weakened in Scott County, south of Waldron right now, but we'll continue to keep our eye on that one. Still seeing broad rotation in there. Yeah, it was tighter a little bit ago. You can see how it's broadened out. A little bit of an outflow dominant storm. You can see it's surging out with a lot more red than the greens going towards the radar. So it's just kind of surging out south of Waldron. Another cell to watch. This one was tornado warned a few minutes ago. There is still some rotation in there to the east of Greenwood. It's right over the hillside and the terrain, so hard to read CC on this one. That's terrain interference again, and I mentioned that earlier. We're so close to the radar site, and the elevation of the terrain intensifies quite a bit there south of Fort Smith. So we'll wait and see what that looks like in just another radar scan or two. But yeah, that's a storm to watch there east of Greenwood, coming up towards 22, towards Diamond Grove, back towards Central City, Bloomer, Carness, and east of Burnville. Continuing to see this area of rotation. Yeah, wow. So close to the radar site, you can really see this kind of wrapping feature in here. These are all winds going away from the radar. These are winds going towards the radar. They interface right in there, and that is our tornado. It's still in progress, it looks like. Yeah, still in progress, just to the south side of Wright Town, Arkansas. Okay. Just checking. These are only 3 tornado warnings in the US right now. So we're in good shape for coverage. Storms over Ohio right now are weakening. There is a severe thunderstorm warning around New Martinsville into West Virginia. We'll keep an eye on things, but things should slowly be weakening across Ohio and Indiana. I don't believe there's been much severe weather in Indiana in this part of the watch. We also have storms that are weakening off the coast. Looks like they're pushing off of Atlantic City. Also weakening cells east of Long Island and now into eastern Connecticut, kind of west central Massachusetts. Keep an eye on things, but things should be more isolated on the East Coast as storms die down there. And then we're still just seeing storms getting going in the high plains, eastern Montana, western North Dakota. There's also been several tornado warned storms in Canada today. Looks like another strong cell considerable threat here on the Canadian border. This is near Crosby, North Dakota. Not seeing a lot of rotation with that right now. It's a hail-producing and wind-producing supercell headed towards Estevan in southern Saskatchewan. Estevan area had, I believe, a tornado warning earlier. May still be in progress in Canada on this cell near Carlisle in southern and southeastern Saskatchewan. All right, they've re-upped it. It's interesting. They haven't actually confirmed it, but it may not be on the ground. It's slowly weakening. Yeah, this may be fallout now. So it may have weakened just here in the Wright Town area. We'll continue to watch this one, though. The second tornado looks like we've had confirmed based on correlation coefficient today. That one a little bit briefer, but we could see that one wrapping up as it's really close to the radar site. That's the one that came across the central city area, not producing at that time. But yeah, really started to wrap up there around Harroldton, 8:28. And then likely had a tornado in progress right around there, 8:30. So potentially on the ground about 10 or 15 minutes. Here's the newest radar scan coming in. And yes, continuing to weaken on that circulation there. Still seeing some debris lofted in the air. And kind of like the other storm that we just looked at, you can see it broadening out basically in kind of real time here. Wow. So a dangerous set of storms across west central Arkansas. Let's look at that other cell. Yeah, not seeing a correlation coefficient on this one, but another cell to watch here. This is going to be east of Greenwood by a couple miles. About 7 to 8 miles east of Greenwood. And we'll see what this looks like on the newest scan. That one's picking up in intensity a little bit too, so we'll keep an eye on this one. Bloomer, Charleston, Arkansas, up towards Vesta, Diamond Grove. Keep an eye on that storm. And then we'll see right now, continue to stay in your tornado safe space over the Van Buren area. What's left of the weak broad circulation is about to cross the interstate here. We'll see if we get any leaves or anything on this camera perspective. And right now that camera is looking southbound, so that checks out. The wind is blowing basically the same direction of this camera. We'll see if we get any wind direction changes too. If we get into this side, this would be blowing likely the opposite direction. Yeah, you guys are good in Kansas tonight. This is all basically south of Kansas. Let's see. Yeah, Kansas had a just a general thunderstorm risk. There it goes. Had to force close there to load it up. There's the model. There's a lot of stuff going on, so the model may have just been taking a minute. Looks like tomorrow, early morning, and tomorrow may be a little stormy for Kansas City. There's a bit of a low pressure down in here into Oklahoma, and that's going to continue lifting across the central states. So yeah, it looks like early morning tomorrow you may get some rumbles of thunder, and then potentially another round of storms across the Kansas City area into the afternoon. Models have uptrended a little bit back into the same area tomorrow, so that's going to be something to watch tomorrow afternoon in Arkansas again. Maybe eastern Oklahoma, southwest Missouri, back into west and west central Arkansas. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty stormy week here for a lot of places actually in the US. And then this is also where we're watching here this evening for this area to really get going in the next couple hours or so with potentially some isolated tornadoes, but also a damaging wind and large hail threat into eastern Montana, western North Dakota. And it may not be done there tomorrow afternoon, again, back into eastern Montana and into the Dakotas. We may get more of an MCS that works its way across North Dakota with some heavy wind and potentially some embedded QLCS tornadoes. And a hail risk, and we'll have to watch Monday or tomorrow into Monday night for maybe another MCS. Yeah, rainy, stormy pattern. That's what we're in here for at least the next few days. Here's the rest of today. The slight risk across the east. That should be winding down both of those areas. Just getting going there. The enhanced risk into the areas around Williston, North Dakota. Tomorrow, we already have an enhanced risk for western and central North Dakota down into northwestern South Dakota, extreme eastern and southeastern Montana. They do have another marginal risk tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if this area expands tomorrow. A marginal risk back here into the Ozarks, just based on some of that latest model data. And then things should stay fairly quiet on the East Coast. And day 3 is probably going to change quite a bit, so I'm not even going to really go into that one. Tornado risk tomorrow, back into the Dakotas. But they do have the 2% tornado risk already for this area from the Arklatex all the way up to the Ozarks. Yeah, you're going to get some heavy storms. Right now, it doesn't look like they're going to be severe storms, but you're going to get heavy rain. Wouldn't be surprised to see some of this flood watch expand also across some of these areas in the central U.S. Some of these areas have gotten rounds of heavy rain. So yeah, it may be loud across Kansas City, especially early morning. And then potentially more tomorrow. I'd say for Kansas City, that area, about 4 to 6 a.m. is probably the time there for storms. May dry out a little bit during the day, but then more storms into the afternoon. So probably higher chances back again into the afternoon, but looks like there could be some isolated to scattered storms anywhere here, really throughout the mid-morning into the early afternoon, and more concentrated storms back into the Arklatex tomorrow. And that's where we have to watch tomorrow afternoon. This is about 5 o'clock on the model data. We'll have to see if any of these clusters are pretty feisty. And yeah, any of these clusters can leave weird outflow boundaries to have some weird events. This one, this model run in particular, has kind of an MCS focusing on the outflow of the storms the day before. So these events are a little bit more hard to see out too far in advance. A lot of it is kind of short-term modeling and also just environmental look and everything. That storm not really rotating. It's leaving the U.S. It's about to get pretty rocky there around Estevan, Saskatchewan, and with a hail core on that one. Not seeing any rotation in that particular cell. There's another cell near Buffalo, South Dakota. That has gone up severe with quarter-size hail, 60-mile-an-hour wind, maybe more than quarters in that one. West and southwest of Buffalo, South Dakota. So we'll keep an eye on that one. New tornado warning. They've updated, it looks like. Radar indicated right over the Van Buren area. There's your debris detector, or the not debris detector, but the shear rate. has come down some. We were getting close to max shear rate there a little bit ago when that tornado was in progress. So that checks out. Kind of tracking the new tool to see if it how valuable it is. But yeah, broad rotation in here, still around the Van Buren area. And yes, I see the camera now. The wind is actually blowing towards the camera, so we have had that wind direction change. This red indicates wind blowing away from the radar. So that checks out. Our camera is on the south side of Van Buren there, right at 59 and 540. So earlier we had winds blowing towards the radar, and now we have winds blowing away from the radar. So broad rotation in here over the Van Buren area. Tornado warning continues. They have trimmed the Fort Smith area out of that, so it's just areas there around Van Buren up to Sibley, Furry, and Reyna. Still watching that other cell near Bloomer and Charleston. We'll keep an eye on that area. It has actually diminished some, at least the area of rotation. We'll keep an eye on that one, though. It's lifting up towards Charleston, Vesta, and maybe eventually Dyer and Mulberry. Still a strong cell. This cell looks like it was broad rotation a little bit ago. It looks like it might be trying to rotate again a little bit tighter. So we'll keep an eye on this one. There's a couple different weird boundaries in here that are doing some weird things, interacting with each other. But generally this area right here, near the Pines, Needmore, and south sides of Waldron, looks like it's a little bit more organized than it was earlier. This one looks a little more like an actual defined supercell compared to kind of the messy storms with embedded areas of rotation that we saw a little bit ago. This one has a little bit more access to clear inflow. Yeah, not liking how that one looks. Keep an eye on that one south of Waldron. And if you think these are low top cells, they're actually not. They're pushing 46,000 feet, 47,000 feet. This one's going to be too close to the radar to see from there. Yeah, about 47,000 feet. Flash flood warning continues across western Arkansas. A Doppler radar 1 to 3 inches of rain, additional 1 to 2 more inches of rain. That's Crawford and Sebastian counties, west central Arkansas. And yeah, you can see all the rain on that camera perspective there too. Okay, yeah, rotation is lifting away from the Van Buren area. Still also continuing to broaden, so how long does... Okay, this expires in about 2 minutes. I would guess they're just going to let that expire. And then we should be in a little bit better shape. Yeah, watching some shear near that cell near Charleston. Lifting up across the Charleston area right now. Still seeing a little bit of shear in here. So we'll keep an eye on that one. And yeah, you can see this broad area of rotation also showing up in this rotation track. Has tightened up just a little bit. Don't like look of this one either. This tornado warning cell expires in a minute, but I would guess they may reissue this one. This cell near the Mena area has also tightened up in rotation in the last couple minutes. Just in the last couple radar scans, it went from broad, weak rotation to a little bit more defined area, the east of Mena. And that's near Ink and Pine Grove. Continue to take tornado safety precautions, especially east of Mena, Arkansas, along Arkansas Route 88. That's a dangerous storm. Let's see, moving northeast at 20. I would guess they might re-up this warning. Okay. No population, though. Looks like no, or there are populations out here, but no defined communities. Looks like in the next few minutes. pretty rugged and remote territory up here into west central Arkansas. But yeah, both those areas, let's see what they look like in storm relative. Yeah, they're both rotating still. A little bit broader than earlier, but they're defined enough that those are two cells to watch. East of Mana, south of Waldron. What's up? Hey, Cruz, how's it going tonight? I just got back and was looking at weather, and all of a sudden, a bunch of tornado warnings went off into Arkansas. Still watching that area, also near Charleston. Not tight enough for a tornado warning yet, but we've seen already a couple times. These have gone from really nothing to tornadoes in progress within about 4 to 5 minutes. So we'll keep an eye on those for sure. This cell may try and rotate again. We'll have to kind of keep our eye on this one. It's kind of a little embedded hook still. Yeah, it's trying to reorganize. It's going to be north and east sides of Van Buren. Not a tornado warning yet near the Furry, Meadows, and Sibley areas up towards Rudy and Dean's Market, but that is going to be one to watch. This is basically under this little hook feature, so if anything crazy happens, this camera would be on it. But yeah, this is right at 40 and 49, just to the east northeast sides of Van Buren. What a weird little event. But yeah, these are kind of focused on along an outflow boundary. I'm interested in doing a little bit of live meteorology, but let me see here. I'm just curious, so I'm going to turn a few things off just to see what's going on here. Not much surface winds. Okay, there are surface winds. They're kind of light out of the east southeast. Let's go with, let's see what the,
A new tornado warning has been issued.
clicked on the wrong one. little bit of directional shear, more out of the south. It's based on model data, but let's look at the jet stream winds real quick. All right, so yeah, we do have a little bit of shear. Hmm. It's interesting. But yeah, there is shear in here. It may look very hard to read. So sorry about that. Yeah, just kind of doing some live meteorology to see what's going on in here. But essentially, it's kind of a mix of things. But essentially, we mostly have kind of southeasterly low-level shear in the black. That's near surface winds. Up a couple thousand feet, we have southerly winds. So we have surface winds from the basically the
A
east
new
southeast.
tornado warning has been issued.
Surface and then up a couple thousand feet, southerly winds, and then let's see, the green is it kind of greenish, kind of this weird color, but as then at the upper levels we have more southwesterly winds. So it looks like we have kind of a weirdly favorable shear profile that has allowed some of these storms to rotate in west central Arkansas. And then with additional boundaries on that, boundary collisions and outflow boundaries, that's why we've had a few additional. All right, everything's back on. Quieting down on the East Coast. Still a couple strong storms. Ohio Valley is getting very quiet. Severe thunderstorm watches end there. They've already expired into Indiana. They end in the next hour across the Ohio area. Still seeing a couple stronger storms into southern New England. Things are quieting down in Jersey and in Long Island. And then, yeah, we're still kind of just getting fired across areas there into Montana. Well, that'll be interesting. There's more storms behind all this. That's going to kind of rotate around this area of low pressure into the same favorable environment. Oh boy. It's a very isolated, favorable environment. See, that's what happens when I'm out all day, is something like this happens. I probably could have just read this too, instead of fumbling around to get all those different layers pulled up. But yes, there's steep lapse rates, moderate deep level shear. So we'll see if any more storms actually get into that environment. That could be a tricky situation if any of those storms get into this environment too. Still seeing broad rotation in here east of Mena, Arkansas. That's the latest radar scan. Going back just a couple minutes, it's kind of just maintained itself the last few minutes. Still mostly broad rotation in a fairly low populated area there. That's going to be east of Mena, north of Arkansas Highway 88. And then also seeing still some circulation in this cell near the Pines and just to the southeast of Waldron. Yeah, it's still kind of just broadly in here around the Pines, Arkansas. It's going to be tucked up in the rain. Both those storms aren't imminently tornadic, but just keep an eye on those. Oh boy, what is this one doing? That one's getting a little bit closer to producing a tornado. That one is, look at that. In the last couple minutes while we've been playing around the layer data, that has really surged out into a well-defined hook shape. And let's see. It's trying to tighten up north of Charleston. A little bit not quite organized yet, but that is a dangerous cell north of the Charleston area. Charleston, Arkansas. That other cell has not reorganized. That area of rotation, it tried to again north of Van Buren, but that cell looks a little bit more disorganized than it was just a few minutes ago. So some good news there. Yeah, radar scan coming in. Let's take a look at this one. Not quite there yet, but we're seeing broad winds going out. Oh, it still has the weird ugly green color. Switch that up. Broad winds going away from the radar, and then winds going towards the radar. And that's kind of right along this little interface in here. Lifting up towards the north. Storm motion does factor into rotation. That one is actually kind of paralleling with the upper level winds. So in the moment, that's one of the reasons why, even though it has a hook, it's not imminently tornadic with a hook. It's parallel right now with those upper level winds. There are southeasterlies that can come into this, but it's also not quite there's not quite as much, curl to get that inflow.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
Hello, Shreveport, Arkansas, or Shreveport, Louisiana. Could be one of those evenings. This is another cell that in the last 10 minutes has done nothing. Not even a severe warning. Not really rotating. Little bit of rotation, kind of weakly. Within 10 minutes, it's now a defined supercell. Yeah, that is an interesting area. Going to be in areas east of Shreveport along 157, Louisiana 157, and approaching areas around Cotton Valley, Louisiana. This is going to be for Bossier and Webster parishes, northwestern Bossier, and also northwestern Webster parishes. Yeah, so this is not in the Bossier and Shreveport metro. This is going to be north of there, up again along 157 towards Cotton Valley, closing in on the Arkansas state line near Spring Hill, Arkansas. Two cells there. These were tornado warned earlier. Broad rotation still in those south of Waldron and east of Mena. They're staying broad at the moment. And this one is still struggling with rotation there as well. This is going to be north of Charleston, Arkansas, well east of the Fort Smith area. Things are calming down around Fort Smith and Van Buren at the moment. We'll keep an eye on these as they lift to the north towards Mountainburg, Ozark, Arkansas, Mulberry, and then we'll kind of also watch in case any more storms get into that area. But the other tornado warning, the one that's just been issued, is in Bossier Parish, Louisiana. Let's see if it's don't have a correlation coefficient with that one, but it's right at the intersection of Louisiana 162 and Louisiana Highway 157 near Linton. All right. Okay. Getting a house weather forecast to see if it was raining outside here. I don't even know. Yeah, watching those cells in the Fort Smith area, watching western Arkansas, and then we're going to watch things fire up here. Let's see. Let's check our storms into southern parts of Saskatchewan. There probably have been some tornadic cells in this area, western Manitoba and southeastern Saskatchewan. It looks like right now they're more hail-producing cells rather than tornadic, which kind of checks the area. This severe thunderstorm watch covers eastern Montana and western North Dakota, and it's not really being high prioritized for tornadoes. There is a low tornado risk. And our Arkansas storms show you that a low tornado risk definitely doesn't mean no. We've had several confirmed tornadoes there in western Arkansas, mostly south and southeast of the Fort Smith area. Yeah, this severe thunderstorm watch in, zoom out just a little bit so you can see it a little better. Northeast Montana, or I guess eastern Montana pretty much, and then western North Dakota. Scattered hail up to 2 inches possible, scattered gusts up to 75 possible, and frequent lightning. So yeah, mostly wind and hail. It goes until 2 a.m. Mountain Time. So it is a late night threat across parts of the Dakotas and parts of Montana. Right now it's 8:20 in the Mountain Time Zone,
A new
9:20 in
flash
the
flood
Central Time
warning has been
Zone,
issued.
and 10:20 in the Eastern Time Zone. And I guess while I got my Eastern Time Zone tag up, let's quickly look here out east. Storms are winding down. Severe warning storm there with some small hail gusty winds in southern parts of the Massachusetts area. Yeah, that's coming down in intensity around Worcester, Massachusetts, and into the southwest side of the Boston metro. Storms over Rhode Island and eastern Connecticut are winding down. Severe warnings have all been dropped from the tri-state area around New York City. And yeah, we've lost our severe
A new
warnings
flash
also
flood warning
into
has been issued.
flash flood warning there. We've lost our severe warnings also in western Pennsylvania and into West Virginia and Ohio. So things should be winding down there. There's your flash flood warning around Weatherford along I-40 there in western Oklahoma. Yeah, slow moving storm just kind of sitting over the Weatherford area. That's eastern Custer County, Oklahoma. There is also a severe warning in western Texas right now also. Little cluster of storms there. Wind and hail is the threat there. Let's go back to our tornado warning, our only tornado warning right now in the country. Broad rotation. This one hasn't tightened like the storms in Arkansas. It's actually broadened back out just in the last couple minutes there, but along Highway 157, yeah, you can see it's lost its little appendage too. Just a few minutes ago when this was just about to be tornado warned. Yeah, the scan right before the tornado warning at 9:12. Back in the central time zone, we had a pretty well-defined little hook in here. Your inflow, outflow, all that good stuff, and it was rotating right where we'd expected at the interface between that outflow and inflow. Not so much anymore. It's kind of broadened out into this whole region. Still continue to take tornado safety precautions. That's northeastern Bossier, northwestern Webster. Yeah, northwestern Webster parishes. Cotton Valley down to areas east of Benton, Louisiana. Tornado warning continues there. So their supercell is still trying to get better organized. It's trying to rotate, has a little bit of an appendage on it, but still kind of broad rotation in here. Has not really gotten itself organized yet. I think I answered Cruz, but I'm not sure. But I'm good. How are you? If I didn't answer, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it was a busy day. Yeah, so I was out most of today with some family engagements and prior engagements and stuff, and yeah, came back to the studio. I saw mostly the storms were winding down, and then all of a sudden, um, we had more storms. This has picked up in intensity. It is tornado warned now for areas around Mulberry, approaching I-40 near Ozark. Yeah, shear rate has come up on this. Oh, that's why it's tornado warned. Did that briefly. Messy CC in there. That's a weird spot, though. That is not. Yeah, it looks like it localized just near Vesta along Highway 215. May have kind of a messy CC. It may have produced a brief tornado in there. Yeah, that's weird. Still pretty close to the radar site. Not exactly where we'd expect that tornado. It's a little bit back deeper into the storm, but it's still getting inflow kind of from this inflow region. And it must kind of work its way back into the storm. It's kind of on the weird side. This may be a bit of a spin based on some of those boundary interactions with the older storms, rather than it's been trying to form this hook and kind of broadly rotate in there for a little while. But it actually looks like formed a tornado based on the boundary interactions back to its west of the hook that has formed. But Mulberry up to Ozark, Arkansas, continue to stay in your safe place there. Probably the third confirmed tornado that we've seen today on radar. If that was the CC drop very briefly, it's moving north at 25 miles an hour. Third or fourth tornado. And that was only probably on the ground for maybe a radar scan. 916, 918, tornado warning, and tornado likely in progress. And then it's broadened back out, but still in here along, looks like Arkansas 215, north of Vesta. Yeah, looks like we may have had a brief tornado right there. Our other storms have now gone tornado warned. This is also in the Arklatex. Tornado warning near Cotton Shed, Albrook, OK, Schooley, and Columbus. This is going to be southwest Arkansas, north of the Texarkana area. It's going to be west of Washington. Although Shreveport apparently has just dropped the tornado warning. That's why it's not loading. Yeah, it's not giving me details, but they've apparently dropped the tornado warning. Our one tornado that we were able to radar confirm here has also been spotter confirmed. Tornado crossed Highway 10 near the Hester cutoff. That was the first tornado. Highway 10 and 71 near Greenwood. So yeah, I think this area here in Arkansas, western Arkansas, has had 3 to 4 tornadoes in the last, I don't know, however
A
long we've
new
been
flash
streaming.
flood warning has been issued.
Basically about 2 hours. This one also continues to rotate. It's trying to organize and localize a new area of rotation. This whole area is kind of a shear zone where we have broad winds going towards the radar in the green and the broader reds going away from the radar. But yeah, the newest area it's trying to localize is still up there along 157, but a little bit further east and northeast from where the previous tightened rotation was. If I back this up, you can see it's basically kind of lunged forward because of that new area of rotation. And it has reorganized kind of that little hook feature. Still not quite as organized as it was a few minutes ago. But it does look like it's trying to organize again. So this has gotten closer to Cotton Valley, Sarpta, Louisiana. I think that's how you pronounce that. Areas there along U.S. Highway 371 south of Collin. Continue to take tornado safety precautions. That's northeastern Bossier and northwestern Webster parishes in Louisiana. This original warning that was allowed, I guess, canceled for some reason. Still seeing kind of broad rotation in there. Okay, it was tighter just a little bit ago, but still broadly rotating. That was for southeastern severe counties. If you're in that warning south of Mineral Springs, I would still just recommend staying in my tornado safe space. Don't just come out and have a picnic outside. I would still stay in my safe place because we've seen kind of weird boundary interactions. These storms just kind of linger over the same area and then they try to spin back up. I'm a little surprised Shreveport canceled the warning. That is a different National Weather Service office that has these new tornado warnings. So they have not seen potentially what we've seen already here with some quick, very rapid spin ups of tornadoes across the western Arkansas area. Like we just saw with this storm just a few minutes ago. Likely, again, very broad rotation about 9:06. Got tornado warn, and then it very briefly produced a tornado near Vesta. But again, mostly a shear line here, just at 9:14. And by about 9:18, about 4 minutes later, tornado in progress. So yeah, we've seen a number of these spin up within about 4 to 5 minutes. Just a radar scan or two. And then within about 4 to 5 minutes more, it was dissipated. Hey, Colorado, how's it going tonight? Yeah, it's a pretty stormy night actually across a lot of the US. Let's zoom back out and we'll take a look at the radar data here. Yeah, it looks like a couple severe storms across that Colorado area. They do seem to be on the downtrend. So some good news there. Another couple storms that have some weird boundary interactions. The storm east of Colorado Springs likely had some large hail in it for a brief period there. Yeah, at least $half size hail. Wouldn't be surprised if that had a little larger than $half. That's kind of worked its way to the southeast and kind of completely collapsed now. Could get a downburst out of that. And then other storms moving off the higher terrain towards the 25 corridor. Looks like the worst of it right now should stay south of Colorado Springs. But yes, and we'll watch any weird boundary interactions there too. I don't think it's going to get as favorable for tornadic dynamics up towards Kansas City tonight, but this is a little bit of a localized favorable corridor. They've trimmed this tornado warning up a little bit. Luckily, not seeing it confirmed right now. Yeah, radar indicated. Lifting up towards Mulberry, Pleasant View, Cravens, White Oak, and Ozark, Arkansas. This is a camera at Ozark, Arkansas. Unfortunately, it looks at the Loves, so you can see a big, bright, glowing light. That's not ball lightning or anything. That's the travel plaza there. But this is actually looking towards that tornado-warned storm. So, bit of a low shelf on that one. Not a wall cloud or anything, but you can definitely see there's a low shelf. This has a low base to it, this cloud. Other storms kind of broadly rotating, but not tornadic right now. East of Waldron and east of Mena, Arkansas. Keep an eye on those in western parts of Arkansas. And then one of my warnings things says it canceled and we couldn't click on it, so I was taking that for its word. This now has a full warning up though, so this might still be in progress. Continue to stay in your safe place here. This is southeastern Howard, east central Little River, and west central Hempstead counties. Here's around Cotton Shed. Continue to stay in your tornado safe space there. That's Arkansas 355, north of the Texarkana Metro. And then back in here, zooming in here towards Cotton Valley. Still seeing this tornado warned cell. A little bit of a messy CC, but that cell is for parts of Bossier and Webster parishes in northwest Louisiana. And is moving towards Cotton Valley at 15 miles an hour. A lot of slow movers. That was much more pronounced earlier when it got tornado warned. Right before it got tornado warned, that was looking pretty nasty there for a second. Still tracking on that same kind of track. So Cotton Valley about 20. Yeah. Okay. It's going pretty slow still. Cotton Valley about 29 minutes and Sarpta 37. Working all the way up to Franklin County. Still seeing the broad rotation in there. There still is a couple pockets of rotation. This was also that area. Yeah, it has a couple weird little appendages on it. Wind appears to be picking up in this cell too. This is one of the windier cells that we've seen, it looks like. Just beyond the tornado risk, this could have some 50 plus to 60 to even maybe 70 mile an hour winds potentially in there. Yeah, gusts there, at least 60. But yeah, this has a weird little hook in here. It still has kind of its original hook as well. And both are showing basically broad rotation at the moment. That's not a CC drop if anyone just saw that casually. This is all clear air right in there. Clear air. But yeah, both these little hooks are lifting up towards Mulberry, towards I-40, Ozark, Arkansas area. continue to stay in your safe place there. Franklin County, Arkansas. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on both of those areas of rotation. A little bit of a cluster of storms now. Still seeing some broad rotation in there. That's going to be east of Waldron. Good news is those have stayed broad for a while. I don't know if they'll retighten. Yeah, they're staying broad. That's a good thing. New warning there in Montana. That's bunch of counties there. Not as feisty of rotation. It's crossing the areas around Ivan, Louisiana. It's still approaching Cotton Valley. Unfortunately, it's such a slow mover at like 10 to 15 miles an hour. Cotton Valley, you've been in this warning polygon for quite a while. But that cell is still like 8 miles to your southwest. So continue to stay in your tornado safe space. I know it's frustrating. It's Saturday night. But continue to stay in your tornado safe space there. Areas around Cotton Valley. Let's fly all the way up. Oh, wow. Things have really exploded across this area. In the last hour or so, storms have really fired. This is an hour ago. Just some showers around. Now we have a pretty solid cluster of storms and a couple severe storms producing hail. Roosevelt, Macomb, Dawson, and Richland counties. The other one is for Macomb, Dawson, and Richland. So a couple overlapping warnings for at least 2 different cells. Oh, wow. We're going to play radar hole game now with these. Great. I really want to see what's going on in this cell. It looks like it might have some rotation on it. I think it has broad rotation on it. It looks like a supercell. It looks like it's V-notched with a pretty big hail core, but likely does have some rotation. So we will have to keep our eye on that cell. It's in northern Richland County, south of Fort Nip, and along Highway 2. This other cell doesn't look like it's has much organization to it. It's mostly just hail and wind near the Ritchie, Montana area. And those are lifting basically northeast, right along the Montana and North Dakota border. So keep an eye on those if you're in the Williston area. Williston, North Dakota, these may get a little bit closer to you in the next little bit. Yeah, that's our closest radar. Yeah, closest radar is over 100 miles away. Back to the south and the Arklatex, we have 3 tornado warnings, 2 in Arkansas, 1 in Louisiana. Oh, Stones, my day was busy. Up early and had a family engagement. And yeah, I came back here looking to see how the weather was doing, and oh my goodness, there was like, as soon as I turned on the weather studio and got everything booted up, I was looking at some forecasts. I saw the storms were winding down across the East Coast, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll just relax and hang out until see what the storms were doing out in Montana. But I knew they were going to fire later. And all of a sudden, everything started flashing. I saw all the warnings going off. I was like, what's going on? 3 different tornado warnings all at once, basically. And we had a tornado on the ground in Arkansas a while ago. And so I threw the stream together real quick. So hopefully the audio sounds good. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. But yeah, I was not expecting to have such a a big tornado day today because most of the storms out east was mostly a wind threat. There were a couple tornado warnings early this afternoon across eastern Ohio, but mostly a damaging wind threat out east. And then it's mostly hail and wind across the Dakotas there tonight. Still seeing rotation here. Those have kind of behaved right now. They're closing in on the Mulberry area. Pleasant View, Mulberry, Tony, Lone Elm, Cravens, White Oak, Ozark, Mountain Grove, and White Rock. Continue to stay in tornado safety precautions there. Lowest level into your room, away from those doors and windows. Stay on that camera. I'm not sure we're going to see anything at night. That area of rotation may be a little bit too tucked up in the rain, but we'll see if we can see anything interesting on this camera. It's about to cross I-40 in a few minutes at one of the points that actually don't have a lot of cameras. That one's moving north at 15 miles an hour as well. That one, since it has a couple different rotations, actually that one area of rotation is just about at the edge of the warning polygon. So if you're in the Mulberry area, you do need to take tornado safety precautions. That area of rotation is kind of work due north towards Mulberry. That oh, that's actually stayed pretty consistent. That was the area of rotation that briefly produced a tornado near Vesta along Arkansas 217, and that has basically continued working towards the north. Let's do this. Let's track this out. Mulberry, about 4 minutes. That's that circulation moving more northerly. And then other circulation is going to be this one also moving to the more towards the northeast, and not much in here. Cravens about 18 minutes. It's going to cross I-40 in about 13 minutes or so. There it goes. Cravens, 19 minutes. Yeah, crosses I-40 in about 13. White Oak, 24. And if it goes a little bit more northerly, Lone Elm, 17. White Rock, 26. Tawny, 9 minutes. Okay, some good news is that area of rotation has backed off around the Mulberry area. Yeah, likely not producing a tornado there near Mulberry at the moment. Still seeing broad rotation in here south of Tawny. And no CC drop on that cell. That other tornado warning ends in about 10 minutes. That's moving east at 15. Hempstead, Howard, and Little River counties. 11 miles south of Mineral Springs. Tornado warning continues there. That's near Millwood Lake. And basically that area right around Cotton Shed. That area is actually kind of drifted towards the north. So areas around Tollette, it's going to get a little bit closer to Mineral Springs. Mineral Springs about 18 minutes if that area of circulation holds together. Yeah, it's lifting a little more north-northeast. Texarkana, you guys are okay right now. Storms off to your north and east. And then back into this weird little cell near Cotton Valley. It's kind of regenerated rotation over itself a couple different times. That latest area of rotation that's worked towards the north across the Ivan area, as it's worked to the northeast, is kind of diminished, but a new area of rotation has now picked up south of Ivan. Yeah, and you can kind of see that also. It's had these little appendages and nubs. That first one has weakened. The second one has now formed. It's right on a little bit of a boundary and a shear line. Interesting cell. It's almost nearly stationary at the moment. And that air rotation has actually backed away from the Cotton Valley area. Yeah, still basically 7 miles southwest of Cotton Valley. And I would say nearly stationary. 2 areas of rotation. Wow. We can also see that on the rotation tracks. On shear rate, you can see the lead area near Ivan, and then the other newer area back along 157. If I back this up, we can see it was more like one area there that crossed near Ivan. Yeah, very interesting storm there. That's complicated little network of areas of rotation. Ah, perfect. Good to know. Yeah, I didn't do much testing here to get this stream going tonight. Check our Colorado storms. Those have really died off in the last couple minutes. Big surge of wind coming out of the mountain there. Those are outflow dominant storms. Could always be some weird little interactions, but yeah, this is all surging out towards the radar site. So things should be calming down across Colorado for the evening. Things are slowly calming down across the Gulf Coast and the southeast, but there's still going to be rounds of rain and storms in this area, basically into the Red River Valley, northern Texas. Looks like the Dallas-Fort Worth area in line for a couple more rounds of storms this evening, and then more storms into eastern Oklahoma, some other storms in western Oklahoma. They aren't moving that much. Some rain and storms looks like across southwest Missouri. And then still also storms hanging out along a boundary across the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. Severe watches, though, are basically gone. That severe watch ends in 5 minutes. And we've lost our severe storms along the East Coast. So some good news there. There's still some storms off the Great Lakes, still continuing there. They're not progressing very fast. Let this radar data load here, and we'll see how these look. They're drifting basically off to the south-southeast. Where we have had a lot of storms is across southern Saskatchewan and western and southwestern Manitoba. Those are continuing. A couple big hail producing cells, potentially a couple tornadic cells in Canada today. We've lost a couple of those other warnings, but still the severe warning there continues in eastern Montana, Macomb, Dawson, and Richland counties. Those are moving some interesting directions too. There's across the Ritchie area, that's severe warning cell, moving more northerly. The other cells are moving a little more easterly. That one had a rotation briefly, but it looks like that's diminished. Still some larger hail in that core as well. And then there's also another hail core down across eastern parts of Montana. That's going to be Garfield, Macomb, and Prairie counties. And yeah, it's going to be rocking and rolling across eastern Montana into western North Dakota for a lot late into the evening. That watch goes until 2 a.m. Mountain Time. Okay, well, just as that one area of rotation weakened going into the Mulberry area, like a new area of rotation has kind of reformed east of Mulberry, about to cross I-40. That's at Mulberry. At the exit there, that's going to be just west of this area of circulation, about to cross I-40. It's basically crossing I-40 right about now. Does not look like it's on the ground, but other circulation is also trying to wrap up a little bit tighter, but it's about to cross I-40 as well, near Lone Elm and Tony or Tawny, approaching areas around Cravens and White Rock. And look at the next cell down. Near Ratcliffe, Arkansas. A new cell has gone up south of this storm that we're watching, this supercell lifting north-northeast across the I-40 corridor. See down here, cell that fired near Radcliffe has quickly intensified actually in the last couple minutes. It's now has some rotation in it just along 398, Arkansas 398, just north of the Radcliffe area. Our radar site is out of Fort Smith, so wind's going away from the radar and towards the radar. Not crazy organized yet, but there is your area of rotation. It's kind of tucked up in the rain like we've seen a lot of those today.
A new flash flood warning has been issued.
Wouldn't be surprised if we see some more flash flood warnings. That's in Indiana with those slow-moving storms that we just detailed there. Weird little cell. Let's take a look at this cluster of storms now into west central Arkansas.
A new flash flood warning has been issued.
Good news is no tornado warning in progress there in these cells anymore. Still seeing some broad rotation, mostly in that cell east of Waldron along Highway 80. Tornado warning expires in about a minute. There is still broad rotation showing.
A new flash
wouldn't be
flood
surprised if they reissue that. Just okay, they're going to let it expire.
A new flash flood warning has been issued.
We're pretty far from the radar site. It has kind of gotten a little bit tighter near the Cotton Shed area, just south of Mineral Springs. So I wouldn't be shocked if we get a reissue on that warning. As crazy as this cell was looking just a couple scans ago, it's actually backed off in intensity quite a bit. Still is a little bit of rotation between Ivan and Cotton Valley, but that area has weakened quite significantly in the last couple minutes. Looks like it's surging a little bit more outflow. So it may be a little bit outflow dominant. We're not seeing that kind of shear line where we had winds kind of backing up into the storm and areas of rotation along it. It's kind of surging out a little bit. We'll see. That may actually completely cut that area of circulation off because that circulation is tucked up here in this storm. We'll see if it can, if it keeps lunging out, it's probably going to cut off that circulation even further. Continue their tornado potential there diminishing a little bit, but still tornado wind continues there around the Cotton Valley area. That is northeastern Bossier and northwestern Webster parishes. A little bit of a spin there near Ennis, Texas. Yeah, that's an interesting little spin. Looks like it's another weird little boundary interaction. Probably isn't going to last very long, but looks like it's where the storm interacted with a little bit of a boundary. We'll keep an eye on that one. Yeah, that continues to come down around the Ivan and the Cotton Valley area. They have let that warning expire there. And both are warning expired across Arkansas. So it looks like Arkansas, no tornado warnings in progress right now, although still watching these areas. Still is a circulation in here near Lone Elm. And another one coming towards Piney. That cell does generally continue to weaken, though. But we'll still continue to watch that one. It's lifting basically into some really, really rugged Boston mountains. Really rugged terrain out here, especially east of I-49. 49 cuts across this area. There's actually some really high bridges, a couple tunnels. You wouldn't expect that in Arkansas, but yeah, part of this area here on 49, you wouldn't realize you're in Arkansas. This area here, also watching this area, it's come up a little bit in intensity in the last couple minutes. This kind of organizing supercell towards Ozark, Arkansas. We'll watch that one as well. Yeah, here's one of those high bridges at Clear Creek. This is not a drive I would really do in the storms. It's very curvy, hilly. It's interesting because these mesocyclones will keep spinning even though they aren't necessarily tornadic. This is that first original tornado warning cell that had the original tornado on it today in Arkansas, and it still has some spin in it. You can still see I put this into motion. It actually even tried to tighten up briefly there, it looked like. Near Lee Creek, it tried to tighten back up, but then it broadened back out. So we'll continue to watch that one. It's lifting along 49 to the east there, south of Winslow. So an interesting cell there, continuing to work towards the north. Yeah, kind of another little boundary interaction. This whole cluster is a little bit of a cluster to watch. Still, as it lifts basically to the north-northeast, it may lift into northern Arkansas. So that's an interesting little, more populated area that we'll have to keep our eye on. Take the latest model data and see what we're finding here. Looks like the HRRR model does try to weaken storms generally in the next hour or so across Louisiana. Still got to watch those storms coming out of the Dallas area. In fact, this model actually organizes those a little bit further late tonight across the Dallas, especially south and east of Dallas, into a little bit of a line segment. Maybe it works towards the Arklatex overnight. So could be a little bit more of a localized enhanced corridor for damaging wind. But in the 10 o'clock hour, it has it pretty good. It has a really big supercell out there. This storm doesn't really look like that, but it also shows that storm that was just tornado warned a little bit ago in Sevier County. And then it does show this cluster kind of working from the Fort Smith area up into areas around Fayetteville, Arkansas. It does kind of keep that there in the next hour. This is 11 o'clock. Kind of maybe also stretching up into McDowell County in southern parts of Missouri, potentially up towards the I-44 corridor. It does want to keep stronger storms in the same area, basically Fort Smith to Fayetteville, over the next several hours. So this may work its way up into the Northwest Arkansas metro. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting little development here with that little bit of a cluster that's tried to form. This was the previous hour model run, and it did take some of those storms up into Northwest Arkansas and basically the tri-state there, Oklahoma, around the Grove area, Anderson, Joel. And it wasn't as robust as that latest model run, but the last model run of the HRRR also did try to organize some of those storms in northern Texas too. And then look at that, tomorrow again, more storms. They basically fire tomorrow along outflow boundaries. So yeah, it's going to be a messy day tomorrow across a lot of areas. A lot of areas could see rain from Texas across the Gulf Coast back into Arkansas, back into Missouri. This is a look at about 2 o'clock. And then all the way up into parts of the Missouri Valley, too. Could see storms tomorrow. A little bit of a cluster of storms here now. Severe warning there. They're going to continue that one for wind and hail. These are all basically wind and hail.
A new tornado warning has been issued.
Shreveport office looks like, yeah. Looks like our old friend down here near Cotton Valley has gone re-tornado warned. They've warned it again. Probably a good warning. It started to broaden out. That was the last time I looked at it. And the latest scan, it's re-tightened. New area of rotation between Ivan and Cotton Valley. This storm has been basically in the same location for a while, because for a little while it was basically stationary. Bossier Parish, northeastern Bossier, and northwestern Webster. They still have it moving northeast at 15. They've rewarned a little bit a different area since it has moved a little bit. It's not a super impressive looking storm, but it's had rotation for a while. It goes from Cotton Valley up to Collin, areas just south and east of Spring Hill, Louisiana. Continue to stay in your tornado safe space, basically south sides of Spring Hill, along 371 down through Cotton Valley, and then down into Webster Parish around Echo and Couchwood. Yeah, the storm's continuing to move to the north and east, kind of gradually. Looks like one of the other tornadoes did have a social media picture, so let me see if I can find that one. It was the second tornado that we were able to confirm on the correlation coefficient earlier today. And the newest report says the National Weather Service marked the tornado debris signature, but also noted that there was a social media picture of that tornado. So I'm going to go try and find it right now. Today is June 6th. So several of the tornadoes that we were able to radar confirm, there's been storm spotters that have also confirmed it. I'm not seeing any picture, but maybe it's on a different social media. So I don't see anything on that. So all right, we'll keep an eye on it. moved a little bit generally towards the Cotton Valley area. Continue to take your tornado safety precautions there. That's going to be along 371 and also 160, US 371 and Louisiana Highway 160. Hey, Ems, how's it going tonight? Busy. It looks like a fairly stormy week across the US. At least early on, they're going to be kind of these small mesoscale features. Tomorrow looks like a busy day with a lot of storms, probably not a ton of severe across the mid-south, but still potentially the same area tomorrow. We could be dealing with some severe weather across Arkansas. Let's look at tomorrow. Yeah, Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, southern Missouri. Potentially a little bit of a low-end chance for more kind of these quick spin-ups. Yeah, tornado risk there tomorrow. Wind risk, minimal. Hail risk. Yeah, it's a tornado-driven marginal risk for tomorrow. We don't see that much. That's a fairly low-end risk. It's a level 1 out of 5. But this is a tornado-driven marginal risk. Tomorrow for eastern Oklahoma, western Arkansas, southwest Missouri. Beyond that, tomorrow we do have a pretty sizable risk area tomorrow. An enhanced risk, overall risk, a level 3 out of 5. That's enhanced for basically western and central North Dakota, northwestern South Dakota into parts of Montana and Wyoming. Slight risk surrounds that. And we could have a marginal risk even all the way to the Red River Valley on the Fargo area. But tomorrow, across the high plains, basically another tornado risk, kind of a lower end tornado risk. Wind is the primary factor, a high wind risk tomorrow. Could be some hurricane force winds, and then also some large hail is also a potential. So similar today, mostly a wind and hail risk. A couple stronger tornadoes are possible though. From there is a day 3. I would guess that day 3 may change between now and then. There's actually not a ton here in the day 3. They do have a day 4 already, which goes back into the Dakotas and the Red River Valley. Day 4 is Tuesday. I believe they also have a day 5. Yeah, day 5 could be a potent day. Yeah, that's gonna be that's gonna be Wednesday. Could support supercells. Wednesday could be a busy, probably the busiest severe day of the week, it looks like, potentially. And I don't believe there's day 6, day 7, or day 8. So yeah, we're gonna be busy here. Tomorrow. Potentially Monday, and then definitely Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday may be a break. All right, back into the current tornado warning. Let's check the current tornado warning. You can see the shear rate still showing rotation in here. It's picked up in a little bit, but you can see it's been very kind of inconsistent. It pops up, it flares up, it tries to tighten, and then it kind of collapses on itself. So this storm has really not gotten its act together, unlike some of those other storms that we've seen today in Arkansas. But still showing rotation there, broad rotation, broad and weak on Highway 160, just east or west of Cotton Valley. It's going to be about 3 miles west of Cotton Valley. So continue to stay in your tornado safe space. Here comes the new radar sweep. Yeah, still Still in there. Extreme northeastern Bossier and northwestern Webster parishes. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's going to be a busy week. And then we may get within those kind of broad areas of severe risk that I showed you guys. We may get some localized severe risks, kind of like we're dealing with tonight here in Arkansas, with different boundary interactions. Let me pull this model back up. And we'll go back here. This gives like a broad look at things, but going forward the next little while, you can see even tomorrow morning and overnight, there's going to be storms overnight. Eastern Texas and back into the Arklatex. This is like 3 a.m. But even tomorrow morning, as soon as the sun comes up, there's going to be more storms firing along outflow boundaries, some overnight activity, and with new daytime heating and a lot of moisture and instability. Areas from Texas, across the lower Mississippi River Valley, and in parts of the South, they're going to be quite busy with non-severe storms for the most part, but you could get isolated clusters that flare up and produce, local and brief severe weather anywhere across these areas, and then into Missouri tomorrow afternoon, and even back up into areas in northern Illinois. Could get some storms tomorrow afternoon. Yeah, you can just see a lot of storms tomorrow across the central U.S., the south central U.S., a little bit still in the northeast, and then even back into Canada tomorrow a little bit. And then as storms go, we should see, tomorrow night, about 6 o'clock on this model. This is just one model, but roughly about 5 to 7 o'clock, this model just explodes storms across the Dakotas into southern Canada. And yeah, tomorrow could be a little more widespread severe event. And then we kind of do it all over again on Monday. And this is Monday, looking at more storms from really the Gulf Coast and southeast all the way up through the Ohio River Valley, all the way up into the upper Midwest. So another big stormy day. And again, like the model, this isn't really hinted on the National Weather Service, but this model hints at like a little cluster kind of developing across the Ozarks, kind of diving south. So we could get little localized pockets of severe weather even on that day outside of the severe risks. And what, we've had 3 or 4 tornadoes confirmed today, just here on our live stream. Looks like this storm is diminishing. It's on the downtrend across the Cotton Valley area. Still seeing broad rotation in there, just near Cotton Valley. That's in Louisiana. We've lost our tornado warning in the Arklatex, that area near Mineral Wells. No longer tornado warned. That cell seems to be diminishing. Those cells also seem to be weakening across areas east of Waldron. Yeah, those cells are both on the downtrend, not seeing a lot of rotation in those anymore. This cell tried to rotate south of Ozark. Still has a little bit of spin in it, but it's not tornadic at the moment. Kind of broad spin up in the main body of the storm. And yeah, still a little bit of rotation kind of hanging on from that previously tornado warned segment. But you can see that has generally been downtrending as well. A little bit ago, they were more discrete. They were kind of briefly discrete supercells. This is radar going back 2 hours to basically 8:30. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 discrete supercells. They all would be producing tornadoes. At least 2 of them were. Yeah, so a little bit of a different look at 8:30 than at 10:30. It's about 10:25. Now we have kind of a cluster of storms, not as imminently tornadic. That's pushing towards the east. So this may get over towards Danville, Mount Ida, Norman. And then this little cluster is lifting off to the north and east. It's going to get through Fayetteville and in those areas. Get to one of my favorite camera views, probably one of my favorite camera views in the country. Let's see. This one, looking over the Northwest Arkansas Metro and the Fayetteville area on I-49. This one usually has good lightning shots too. A little bit of spin in this cell. This is near Ludlow, Oklahoma. It's still kind of in that same favorable environment as those cells that are in Arkansas. Yeah, sad rotation at times. The last scan, the rotation has picked up just a little bit. You can see more of those yellows in there in the shear rate. Not a lot, not tornadic, but that's one to watch as it gets into a favorable environment where we've had several tornadoes today. Only one tornado warning in progress right now. That's for Bossier and Webster parishes in Louisiana. Look at these big storms in Montana right now. They're kind of clustering together, so that should reduce a little bit of that tornado risk, but also that may actually end up reducing some of the hail risk in these cells. Ping pong ball size hail in some pockets here along Highway 2, eastern Montana. This is a big warning that covers a few different counties. Southeastern Roosevelt, northeastern Macomb, and northwestern Richland counties. Ping pong ball size hail, 60-mile-an-hour gusts. Looks like storms are slowly also dying off across the areas in southern Saskatchewan and also southwestern Manitoba. Some stronger storms here around the Moose Mountain Provincial Park, Carlisle, areas down toward Estevan. Still a couple storms there. And then we've also lost our severe warning in South Dakota. That's west of Bowman. Sorry, and that was that's North Dakota, but it was near Buffalo. Another strong storm. This is east of Cheyenne, Wyoming. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That's a kind of along an outflow boundary, it looks like. This cell continues to diminish in intensity over the Cotton Valley area. And actually not really seeing any circulation much in there anymore, but yeah, just on the last couple scans, the rotation has basically disappeared completely. Now, we have seen that a couple times tonight where it disappears and then within another scan, rotation comes back. So that's why they likely are continuing that one, but we'll see if it comes back. The whole cell itself doesn't look as impressive as it did earlier. That one may be finally fading. And the model data did fade these storms across the Arklatex. So that kind of checks out. Again, we watch these areas back towards Dallas-Fort Worth for some organizing cluster storms. These may try to organize into a little bit of a cluster. It's interesting because, yeah, you can see these storms, they were tornadic earlier. They still have a little bit of weak, broad rotation in them, but not really low-level rotation, not tornadic rotation. But you can tell the atmosphere just has a spin in it. And you can see it with the reds and greens, but playing this up and then increasing the speed, you can see the fluidity of the atmosphere and how these are really working as fluids and not, people think air is like a gas, but it actually reacts more like a fluid in our atmosphere. And you can see all the little eddies and spins still in this storm. Things are clearing out right now across the Fort Smith area. A couple different tornadoes today. Let's see. Did they mark those? That's that. Local storm reports. They have. So I think we've seen about 3 to 4 tornadoes based on our correlation coefficients. They've marked the first two that were the clearest two. The one was a tornado that was actually unwarned for probably about 20 minutes. And it was eventually a tornado debris signature noted, but it also did have a spotter report as it crossed Highway 10. Yeah, Highway 10 near Excelsior. And then the other one apparently has a photo, a social media photo, but also we noted also the tornado debris signature, and it was also noted then too. So a couple of different tornadoes at least confirmed already. Wouldn't be surprised if there's, looks like maybe 2 to 3 more. Oh, so there was 3 tornado reports. It looks like the other one is Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. This is for today, so I was just curious where the 3rd tornado report was, but yeah. It's like a funnel cloud over Bay St. Louis in the Waveland area. Rotating wall cloud and funnel cloud. Okay, so maybe it didn't touch down, but yeah, we've had at least 2 to 3 touchdowns across Arkansas. All right. Oh, hey, Bauer, how's it going today? Yeah, it's been a busy day. I was out most of the day, so I came home, was kind of relaxing because it looked like storms were dying down, and then all of a sudden a bunch of tornado warnings went off. And I realized we had confirmed tornadoes like on the ground, so I hopped on a stream real quick. Yeah, it's been a weird day. A busy day for severe weather. This storm still has a little bit of spin in it as well. It's about to cross the highway again here at Ozark, Arkansas. Actually go to that camera. Yeah, we have a camera in there at, that's eastbound camera. Let's go back to the Ozark westbound. There's I-40 at Ozark, Arkansas. We have noted, at least on the one camera earlier, we did see the change in wind direction in that tornado warning storm near Fort Smith. We may see that here in the Ozark area. Although this is a darker camera, so it's going to be harder to see, but right now across this camera, we have winds going towards the radar. In a minute or two, we may have winds going away from the radar. Actually, that's yeah, that's picked up a little bit just in the last scan or two. That's a cell to watch. This cell has tried to rotate a couple times. And yeah, just on the last couple scans, it's definitely picked up in intensity. Not super bright, not super strong, but it is a rotating thunderstorm. Whoa. That was a fast movement. Considerable threat now for 70-mile-an-hour winds and half-dollar size hail. That is for that cluster of storms working out of Montana into western and northwestern North Dakota, western Divide and Williams counties. Half-dollar size hail, 70-mile-an-hour winds. Hey, storm team, how's it going? Oh, it is a new feature. Let me see here. Yeah, let's see. This cluster here has about 3,000 lightning strikes. The one thing is, it is total lightning strikes. It's not just CG. So it does include the cloud to cloud, but it gives a good idea of lightning. But yeah, in this cluster storms, we have 3,000 lightning strikes. Let's see how to do that. Oh, go to layout. If you're in like the main kind of bundle workflow screen, go to layout and then click into layout and you'll go down and let's see, there's a bunch of things you can do in the layout tab now. About 2/3 of the way down layout, there's a lightning counter and you can toggle it off and on. There's some other stuff in the layout you can do. But yeah, layout, and then you'll find lightning counter. And it looks like you can also search layout. Maybe I'll search it too. Yeah, it's a brand new feature. They've the last couple times I've turned on the app, I've actually had updates. So they've even been doing updates over the weekend. But yeah, that's a neat one. If I go like all the way out, I think we can grab. We might be able to grab lightning from everywhere. Yeah, there it is. So across the U.S., there's roughly about 1,800 or 18,000 lightning strikes. And again, that's not just cloud to ground. That would be a little more helpful if you could filter it. I wouldn't be surprised if just the way they've been progressing with this product, I wouldn't be surprised if you can filter it eventually between cloud to ground and all lightning. But right now, at least the product is working as all lightning. Oh, let's see. Bower mods. I have not I have not thought about the mods yet. The filtering system seems to be working. Bower, what I guess what is the benefit of mods? And maybe not just Bower, but if anyone else wants to chime in on the discussion, since we don't have a ton of tornado warnings right now, down to our only tornado warning, and it is a weakening cell. But I guess give me your thoughts on the mods. Yeah, they're probably going to drop that tornado warning soon too. It has not regained the intensity as it had earlier. Basically pushed out of Bossier Parish. It's now a situation for Webster Parish, northern Webster Parish in Louisiana. This little cluster still has a little bit of spin in it too. Yeah, that's true. I do agree that it is nice to have a human touch on things. I'm not a giant fan of AI. I like the I know a lot of YouTubers, not just in weather, but a lot of YouTubers now in general make like AI thumbnails and everything, and I actually create my thumbnails all from scratch and layer everything on each other and do it the old-fashioned way based on looking at weather data and also looking at the National Weather Service forecast. But yeah, I know a lot of people do click AI and have them create a thumbnail in like 2 seconds, but so I do like the human touch of things. But yeah, we had the mods briefly like a year ago, but then a couple of the mods got a little too feisty and started blocking people for asking like normal weather questions. And so far the AI modding has helped, and I haven't seen any bad things in chat or any spamming in chat. So it seems to be working.
A new flash flood warning has been issued.
New flash flood warning. Yeah, but that just looks like you glitched out. I think if you put in a bad word, it would block it. I don't know if I have that word as a bad word, but don't test it. Why isn't it working? Why didn't it block you? That's weird. But I do have it set to block certain words and stuff. Still seeing a little bit of rotation in that cell near Ozark. Actually, it's about to cross the highway pretty much right at our camera, I think. Yeah, the camera's looking westbound though. Still weak rotation. Plus, like, if I don't know, I guess sometimes I am super busy, but if I saw someone just posting like you did, like www, I could also just like click up and block someone too and put them into like a timeout too. But no, you do have a point there. That is a decent point. Let's go back and look at our Montana storms. These are slowly starting to push from Montana into western North Dakota, Westby, down to areas around Trenton. Severe warning there in Divide and Williams counties, just north of the Williston area. Storms are behaving themselves, though, generally. They're not as discrete as some of the model data showed. And the large hail is not, we haven't seen super large hail in here. Oh, I just do mine off of Canva. I just have the free version of Canva. But I believe there's a paid version that actually does have like an AI help and stuff. And I think I originally maybe sized it for a YouTube I think there's a way you can size it for a YouTube thumbnail. If I remember right, I may have done that. Why is this? Does this sell? No, they've dropped this warning, right? I believe they've dropped this warning. Yeah, they've definitely dropped that warning. Okay. No tornado warnings. Finally, no tornado warnings. This warning has been allowed to drop. And I believe I can actually, I can make it so it does. Oh. I just saw a new winter weather advisory. I wanted to see where that was. 5 to 10 inches of snow, 30-mile-an-hour winds. This is in the Central Brooks Range of Alaska. Blowing snow, reduced visibility. So yeah, still cold in northern Alaska. All right. Let's look at our northwest Arkansas storms. Still better on this radar. All right, so good news is these storms are working into the northwest Arkansas metro. The shear rate has come down, the rotations have come down. Still is this one that's holding on, crossing I-40 right about now, just east of Ozark, Arkansas. Wouldn't be surprised if that gets a brief tornado warning. Still flash flood warning in west central Arkansas. And this storm is no longer tornadic as it's moving into areas around Haynesville, right on the Louisiana border in the next few minutes. Oh, we just lost the Shreveport radar. See, it's turned red. Maybe doing a few up. Oh, what's going on here? We just lost a bunch of radars. Is that like that on all of them? That storm over the Shreveport area and Cotton Valley has dramatically decreased. Must be an update going on or something. It looks like there are a number of radar sites that are down right now. Yeah, I think you're good, Stones. I guess we don't have radar anyway, but let's see. We'll look at HRRR again. Still potentially overnight, some feisty storms from the Arklatex down into North Texas. Could get some severe warnings isolated still in that area. And then things are going to go late into the overnight across parts of western North Dakota. The Williston area, a couple rounds of strong to severe storms potentially there before we kind of reset for tomorrow. And then back a little closer to Kansas City. Probably not much overnight until about 5 a.m. Potentially get a few rain showers if you're going to work in the morning. Potentially a rain and storm chance. Nothing organized or too severe. And then, yeah, potentially rounds of isolated to scattered storms looks like through the day tomorrow. But I wouldn't be surprised if part of this area has a little bit more of a severe risk tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be a wet day tomorrow for not all day, but just a lot of rounds of rain and storms across the south and even up into the Missouri Valley and the mid-Mississippi Valley. This is through about 3 o'clock. This is a 3 o'clock look, and it looks like anyone from basically Rochester, Minnesota, Sioux City, all the way down to the Gulf Coast could be getting some storms tomorrow. Everybody went over to Weatherfront. I saw a bunch of storm chasers did. Yeah, there's the current look at things. Still some stronger storms east of Dallas. What is going on? That's weird. Are all the radars down? Like, they must be doing a reset or something. Anyway, well, I was going to call it a night anyway. I'm absolutely hammered, tired from a long day with some prior engagements already earlier today. Otherwise, I would have streamed for those storms and the severe risk across the East Coast today. But yeah, other than that, that area has died off. Still have to watch a little bit of the Arklatex in western Arkansas through the next few hours. This is going to go late across northern parts of the northern plains. And then backing out. Tomorrow is day 2. Tomorrow has an enhanced risk across the Dakotas. Day 3, I think, might change a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if things going to get reorganized for day 3. But then we might get a break on day 3. But then day 4, back to the Dakotas and the Red River. Day 5, I think, could be our most potent severe weather day, or at least all hazards severe weather day. Most of Minnesota. It looks like northern Iowa and eastern parts of the Dakotas into Wisconsin. This will adjust, so keep that in mind. There's still plenty of days out. And then nothing in the day 6 plus. Yeah, you guys there in central Iowa have to watch out for day 5. And then Bauer, let me think about the mods. You brought up some good points there with the W's. Yeah, I'll think about that tonight here in a few minutes. Oh, cool. Yeah, have fun chasing that day. That should be a good day. It looks like across those areas, it should be pretty favorable. I think the Storm Prediction Center already has a note that it's going to be an all hazards day. If I remember right. Yeah, shear strengthening along the arrival of the jet, favorable for supercells, large to very large hail, severe wind gusts, some tornado threat could materialize. So yeah, looks like a pretty potent day. But yeah, things are on the wind down across the east, across the central U.S. The only exception still strong storms across western North Dakota today. So, all right, guys, have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one. I don't know. Let's see. No. Hmm. Weirdly, no. Let's see if I close it out. Hmm. I mean, luckily I was gonna call it anyway. I'm like super crazy tired. Although it might just be, it says this is off, but this is new data right here. So yes, they might be coming back online. Yeah, okay. I'll think about it, Bauer. Let me look into it a little bit more. The last time we had mods, the problem was, yeah, we had a couple mods that went a little too, they got a little bit too, not you, Bauer, but a couple of the mods got a little too power hungry and started a little bit too quickly blocking. And the problem is, if one of the mods puts you in timeout, like if I put you in timeout right now, like a mod, I don't think can untime it. So like it puts a innocent person into the timeout. Um, so that got a little bit annoying. Yeah. Okay. So they might be the mod or the radars may be coming back online because this is new data, even if it says they're off. All right, guys. I'm out of energy tonight, and it looks like our storms are too. So that's a good thing. Have multiple ways to get warning, and we'll see you on the next one.